You don't have to try so hard. That is an old mechanism. It's an old coping strategy. And it is safe for you to let it go now. It is safe for you now to be carried into this new frequency. Hi, my loves. Welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, I am so grateful to have you back. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Michaela. And on this channel, I bring through messages about what I'm currently learning and experiencing on my own personal healing and awakening journey with the intention of helping you feel less alone on your journey. Because I know I have been really going through it as of lately, and often that has been the case, especially over this past year. I feel like this ascension process has really accelerated, and it's been like one thing after another. And sometimes when I'm going through it, I feel hesitant to show up because I only want to show up in an energy that will be supportive for me and supportive for all of you guys tuning in. But I've realized that right now I'm really being called to show up in the midst of whatever it is that I'm going through and to share the messages that I'm receiving throughout my healing. And even if I'm still kind of in the middle of it, I think it's important to show up anyway. So that's what I'm doing today. So if you notice a little bit of a difference in my energy today, it's because I've been definitely processing a lot and been feeling really overwhelmed. And if you're feeling that way, my intention for showing up right now is to let you know that you're not alone. And hopefully we can connect through this video and help you to know that we are actually a massive collective of souls who are all going through this together, walking side by side, and that we're truly not alone with the things that we're experiencing, and the healing that we're doing is making a huge difference in the world. With that being said, I want you to know that I set the intention that every word that comes out of my mouth, everything that I say in this video is channeled with pure unconditional love in service of the highest good of all. And so I hope that helps you to relax and open your heart and open your mind and receive what it is that you're meant to receive from this video. I'm sharing from my personal connection to source, and so some things I say may really resonate, but they can also be through the lens of my own experience, through the language that I use, different from what you're experiencing, and that's okay. I invite you to use your discernment and really just take what you're meant to take from this video. But I think the biggest thing that I want to share is that for me, when I'm going through it lately and over this past week, it feels like I've been in this battle between my heart and between my mind. And my mind wants me to be doing all of these things and to be moving forward. And it's kind of sneakily brought in these old mechanisms, these old strategies for surviving in the world, and trying to get me to kind of go back into these old ways of functioning. And so the first thing that I wanted to share today is that if you feel confused right now, I would invite you to ask, am I living from my heart or am I living from my mind? Because we have to be incredibly gracious with ourselves at this time. That was like the biggest thing when I was tuning into Source, when I was asking for guidance. I realized that this fog, this lack of clarity that I feel is because I'm trying to make sense of my current circumstances with my mind, when living in 5D, ascending into this new frequency requires us to live from our heart. We are voyaging into unknown waters, into unknown seas, and so the mind cannot predict what is coming next, and that can lead us to kind of want to go back to old ways of doing things so that we can feel more stable and more certain. But what I have found is that as I've tried to go back to old ways of functioning, it has led me to be more frustrated than ever, and it has brought up a lot of despair with feeling like things aren't working out the way that I want them to. And I've realized that there is this part of me that feels so unsafe in the unknown and has always felt unsafe in the unknown, because in my past, when I trusted and when I let go of control, bad things happened. And so there's this really strong defense mechanism within me that is trying to map everything out right now. But the very clear message that is coming through is that we are not going to be able to force our way into a higher vibration. We are not going to be able to push and use those old mechanisms to carry us into the new earth, whatever it is that you want to call it. If you're here, it's likely that you feel this massive collective shift happening right now. And basically what I've seen is we actually have the opportunity to float in these waters, to completely surrender and let the divine carry us through this phase that could feel very tumultuous. But we also have free will and the ability to try to figure everything out. And this is what it looks like to swim against the current instead of flowing with the current of this new wave of energy. And so a very clear message that was coming through is you don't have to try so hard. That is an old mechanism. It's an old coping strategy. And it is safe for you to let it go now. It is safe for you now to be carried into this new frequency. This whole era is all about us learning how to receive. And it's like, it's funny because we want that more than anything, right? Like, of course we want it to be easy. Of course we want to melt into love and feel the divine all around us and allow our life to work out for us in miraculous ways. But we have these old what I usually refer to as just younger versions of ourselves who are still very active within us and are like, what do you mean I can just receive? I've lived my whole life having to force, having to survive. This doesn't feel real. This doesn't feel safe. And often we don't have a lot of evidence that it's going to work out that way. And we don't have a lot of examples of people around us who have done this before. And so it is quite a trust fall. But that's part of the reason why I wanted to make this video today, is because the message that has been coming through so clearly is it is safe for us to live from our hearts now. It is divinely destined for us to enter into this portal. And the portal into the new earth is through our hearts, is living through love. And I don't want to just vaguely say, like, let's live from our hearts. I want to talk about what does that actually mean? What does that actually look like? Because, the biggest thing for me, I don't know about you guys, but like the biggest thing for me in the spiritual community, and this is like not a judgment, because when we get messages from the divine, it's usually this like call to action that can feel quite vague, like, listen to your heart, live from your heart. But what does it mean, right? On a tangible human level, what does it look like to live from your heart? And sometimes people don't give like tools and advice. And I've realized sometimes I don't know, like, why is my page called Rituals by Michaela? But it's because I'm such a, like, there's this part of me that is so much like, what am I supposed to do though? Like on a daily basis, what does this look like? And I found that rituals are this divine gift of guidance, of structure in this non-linear way of being, because I don't consider rituals the same as routines. Rituals feel more like this sacred tool to make life beautiful, to honor the flow of life, and to ask ourselves, what do I need? What do I really need right now? What would actually support me, rather than living from the mind? Routine can feel very mind dominated. What should I be doing is the mind. And so if you've been living from the mind, you will know because you've been confused. And if you've been living from the heart, you will know because you're present. You're in the now and you are attuned to what you're feeling, and therefore using your feeling to guide you on what you're meant to do each day. So to live from the heart for me is something that has been quite challenging, first of all, because I am currently working through so many of the wounds that led me to shut down my heart. I see, like, when I tune into it sometimes, this layer of ice over my heart. And sometimes it's not there. When I have spent a lot of time in nature, or when I'm really having a lot of fun, or, as of lately, it feels like my heart has been quite shut down. And that is because I know I'm processing a lot of my deepest wounds right now. So if you're there, know that this is not because you've done anything wrong. It's just a defense mechanism when we're cleansing and purging and feeling these unfathomable amounts of pain that we've been through. But basically, when our hearts have this layer of ice, and when we can't really feel where we're meant to be led throughout the day, what we're meant to do throughout the day, it's easy to kind of want to go up in the mind and try to figure it out. But I would say the first step is thawing the ice, right? Learning how to presence the frozen part of the self. And so, first of all, I think it's important to remember that your body is highly intelligent, and these younger versions of you are also highly intelligent. So for me, there was a moment in life where I was experiencing unfathomable amounts of pain. And especially for those of you who I'm talking to, you guys, we are so sensitive, and this is our gift. We have immense psychic and energetic gifts, right? But when we came into this world, we were not taught how to use those gifts, and also how to protect ourselves and take care of ourselves energetically. And so we had to shut them down, right? Like it was impossible to really function in the 3D world in survival mode and then be so attuned to energy, because all we feel is pain, right? And struggle and anguish and disconnection, and it's unbearable, right? So most of us at some point or another were so sensitive. And in this world where there was so much pain around us, we likely experienced our own traumas. And some of you guys may have experienced really big traumas that you remember. And some of you guys may feel like you didn't really experience trauma. But I want you to know, if you're kind of in this boat, it's likely you've been awakening to the fact that, well, you have all the symptoms of someone who's experienced trauma, so maybe let's revisit that, right? And the truth is that being a highly sensitive soul on earth is traumatic, and it has been traumatic, because we were not in containers, environments, communities that were supportive to us. So we were not in spaces where it was safe for us to have open hearts. And so you can die, the death of your authentic self can come from one fatal blow. And then there's also death by 1,000 cuts, right? Little things that over time that led you to shut down your heart. So no matter which boat you're in, I invite you to not compare yourself to anyone who you feel has gone through more than you, but just the first step here is just honoring your experience. Because your experience is valid, what you went through matters, and most importantly, the proof is in how you feel right now. How long this ascension journey has taken you is equivalent to the amount of pain that you experienced, because it is that pain, that disconnection from love, that we are currently healing right now. We are reuniting with that unconditional love and bringing all of these parts into wholeness, but this takes time. And that was a very clear message that was coming through. The mind wants ascension to happen in a certain amount of time, right? It's likely that you've felt like this has taken too long, or at some point on your journey, you've wondered if you are actually ascending because you haven't had the breakthrough that you want to have yet. But I would invite you to understand that when we're healing this deep pain, this deep trauma, first of all, it's not just from this lifetime. We carry our ancestors' pain in our bodies, and we've had so many lives too. You're an advanced soul, so you've lived many lives. And so there's a lot that's going on here. I also want to say you don't have to worry about understanding all of it, because there's a divine plan here that is allowing these things to come up in perfect timing, in accordance to what we can tolerate, what we can handle, and what we can alchemize effectively. because you're on the ascension path, it's not going to come up all at once. Otherwise, it would re-traumatize us. And we need these things to come up slowly and gradually and with these waves of, maybe long periods where we're struggling, but then hopefully a day or two of reprieve. Maybe you've had weeks of reprieve or months of reprieve where you're actually experiencing the benefit of having cleansed that trauma and those stagnant emotions from your system. But I want to say, if you haven't had a big reprieve, understand that it's because the wound that you are healing is so significant and it needs time to come up, but that does not mean you won't have a reprieve. It just means that for many of us who are ascending right now, it's been one thing after another because our freedom is emerging through this. We're really clearing out what I believe is our original heartbreak. And I keep hearing the moment it all went dark. So many of us can connect to a time in our lives where we were these light-filled beings, and then all of a sudden, bad things started happening, and we just started to feel more and more shut down, struggling more and more and more on a daily basis. And for me, I always hear a series of unfortunate events. That's what my childhood felt like at a certain point. And so what I invite you to understand is that these wounds are not something that they're not something that we're just meant to come up and get rid of, right? We experience these things to support our soul in its growth, in its evolution. You are pure unconditional love. Your vibration at its core is immensely high. You are a very powerful spiritual being, and you came here to earth to learn through what you've been through. It is all divine. And there is a part of you who knows that, and there is a part of you who is honored to be holding you through this experience, honored to be learning through this experience, who is so proud of you and so amazed by your resilience. So first of all, I want you to recognize that. And I also would invite you to understand that the mind, when we are on this ascension path, wants things to be linear and is often like, oh, I have trauma. Let me just get it all up here. Let's see it. Let me feel it so I can get rid of it. Like, I don't want to hold this anymore. And rightfully so, because that part of you is recognizing that you're not meant to anymore. This part of you is recognizing the phase that you're at on your journey and that you actually are meant to be liberated from this, right? However, that part of us, in our desire to be free from our pain and from our suffering, can actively resist the gift and the lesson within what it is that we're moving through right now, the beauty that exists within it. And so what I want to say is that, first of all, that part can actively resist the beauty, but also that just because your mind or even your current self is like, bring it on, I'm ready to feel. I know that feeling, thawing, it helps me to feel better. So bring it on. Like, I want to feel it all, right? But your current self and this part of us that's like, bring it on, I want to feel everything, may not quite grasp how unsafe the younger part of us felt when we were going through these experiences. It is not our current self that is like, yeah, I don't want to feel anything, I just want to avoid. We've moved past that, right? We've awakened. We understand that feeling deeply leads to our liberation and leads to an authentically high vibration. And we are so on board with this by now, right? We're like, bring it on. And that's beautiful. That's beautiful that we're ready to do this. But it doesn't mean that these younger parts of us are quite ready. And sometimes there can be like a slight percentage of that part of us who just wants to feel and just wants to be free that is still kind of rejecting and like almost wanting to get rid of this younger part of us, these old defense mechanisms, this pain that we've held on to for so long, that it makes this part of us feel unsafe, unheard, unseen, and the reason we suppressed those emotions was because they were too much for that part of us. And so what we need to do right now, and trust me, I avoid this all the time, and I have to constantly anchor myself back into this process of remembering what I need, which is that I'm not just here to feel these things and get rid of them. I am here to have the experience of being able to give my younger self what she needed and bring her into my arms and hold her and love her in the ways that she needed to be loved. And not only am I here to do this, but I'm here to remember this greater part of me, this beautiful, unconditionally loving source energy that lives within me. And that is everything. That is where we come from, right? That wants to come in and hold us through this. So it's like this simultaneous process of becoming the caretaker for our younger self that we always needed. And when we feel overwhelmed by that, leaning on the love that is available to us always. And we've felt so disconnected from that because we've been living in this illusion that God is outside of us or that we have to do something to access that love. But really what we have to do is just believe that it's there and know that it's there, even at times when we don't feel it, because often when we're in the most pain, it is the most difficult time for us to believe that it's there. But essentially, hold on, just gonna adjust my position. Essentially, our job at this time is not to rush our ascension process because it can't be rushed. It is going at a pace that we are moving at collectively, and it is divinely destined to happen. So I don't want you to worry that you're going to miss anything or that there's something more you have to do or fix or that you have to have this perfect spiritual routine. That's not the case. What we can do to float through this process in a way that is harmonious versus swimming against the current is to deeply allow our experience every day, no matter how challenging it is, no matter how much our mind thinks we shouldn't be experiencing whatever we're experiencing. Because the moment we stop fighting against is the moment we open up to love. And the moment that we're able to start providing the safety that these younger parts of us need and always needed to come forward. What we need most is presence, pure presence. Think about how soothing it is to hear these words, and these words have been coming through directly from source. You have all the time you need. You're not going to miss out on anything just because you're feeling this way right now. You're not going to feel this way forever. You are loved. You are seen. You have the right to feel the way that you feel. I see every little thing that you've been through that led you to feel this way in this moment. Even if you wake up every day feeling that heaviness, I see you. And I honor you, and you have all the time that you need. You are allowed to feel the way that you feel. You are safe to feel this way, and you don't have to try to get rid of it. Come to me. Tell me what's on your mind. Tell me what's in your heart. Tell me what you feel in your body, my love. Let me hold you. And I know from experience, sometimes it can be really hard to speak to ourselves this way or to even feel like this is effective, because often when we speak to ourselves this way, it's not like that part of us comes forward right away. Sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes we feel like we maybe need the presence of another person or just time. And so to live from your heart, to bring it back to this point, is to, first of all, completely honor where you are. Know your ascension is inevitable. Your vibration is raising. And your vibration is rising. And everything that's coming up right now is coming up because you're healing from the original heartbreak that made you feel disconnected from love, disconnected from yourself, disconnected from your divinity. Because to be disconnected from love is to feel disconnected from truth, from source. which is who you are. And that is what led to so much pain throughout our lives, is living in this illusion that we're separate. Separation is the root of fear. It is the root of so much pain, inflicting pain on each other, judging each other. So we're healing that wound right now because we're coming into unity. So whatever is coming up right now is the very wound that made you feel separate from love. And so the medicine that we need is not to try to get rid of the wound. It is to return to love, to return to pure presence, and to give yourself what your inner child, what that younger version of you needed when this all went down. And it takes practice, right? It takes time to learn how to speak to yourself in that way and learn how to hold yourself in that way. Because again, it is likely that we've had some success in feeling a little bit better through avoiding this pain. That is how a lot of the world functions. And unfortunately, for I don't even want to say unfortunately, because I think every soul chooses their path. But basically, when we chose this awakening path, we chose to live authentically and to be real with ourselves about what's going on and to feel everything deeply again and to open our hearts. And this process has been long and it has been painful. And sometimes it feels like we're not doing anything. We're not actually healing because we haven't had the breakthrough. But again, I just really invite you to let it take the time that it's taking, because again, this process is meant to be healing, not re-traumatizing. And what we think we can handle in our minds is not often what we can handle at that deeper level, and also what the body can handle, right? The body needs to feel regulated, needs to feel safe, so that the nervous system can process these feelings and not go deeper into freeze or fight or flight or whatever your mechanism was, right? The point is to re-experience the emotions in a way that is empowered and in a way that anchors us into love. And so it cannot come up all at once. So the biggest message for me that has been coming through is creating safety, creating safety through love. I'm going to have some water. You guys like my stickers? Look at this cat. Anyways. Okay. No fighting against. When we wake up in the morning, honor the part of us that wants to fight against. Thank you for helping me survive. Thank you for helping me make it through life so far. I see you. I love you. But today, we are safe to be where we are. And then nurturing the body. Giving yourself time to not always have to be meditating or, journaling or doing the healing work, the work of understanding your emotional experience. But first, creating safety in the body is very helpful before we dive into those things. So for me, and I love getting into the ritual part of it. For me, what this has looked like and what I would love to do more of is, first of all, nature at this time. Nature is in a constant flow state. So if you want to learn how to flow with your emotions, literally just going in nature and putting your hands on a tree, hugging a tree, give it a kiss, ask the tree to show you how to move through this and how you can not just move through this, but how can I be with this? How can I receive from this right now? Show me. And the transmission from nature is energetic. I mean, maybe you can hear the trees, and that's awesome. If you can, I'm still working on it. I can feel the trees and feel the grass. And that's really what helps me, is receiving from nature. If you can get by a body of water, again, we're flowing here, and nature just opens our heart pretty automatically a lot of the time. Sometimes it takes me quite a while in nature, but that is a tool that most of us have access to, right? And if you don't have access to nature right now, you could even get a plant or just connect with an animal even. that is incredibly helpful because they hold these like untainted frequencies of flow, and it is really beautiful. Especially the earth right now is going through the same process that we're going through, and so we can receive so much and also give so much to the earth at this time. So that is like, it's just such a beautiful tool to rely on, a ritual to rely on, is really spending time out in nature. But something that also has been immensely helpful for me has been breath work at this time. I literally love Breathe with Sandy. I think his videos are so well made. And breath work for me, when I am like in it and I cannot feel and I'm feeling panicked and I just need something to reset my mind and reset my body, that has been so immensely helpful. If you guys have breath work practitioners you like, please drop them in the comments, or even like other YouTube creators. Doing yoga right now has been immensely helpful for me. Things that bring regulation to your body. Putting my legs up the wall to meditate. It's like doing something during meditation like that is helpful for me, because it's like my mind just kind of feels like I'm like laying around. Sometimes sitting in like a meditative posture can like almost put this pressure on me to be meditating properly or doing something. So putting my legs up the wall has been really helpful. Somatic shaking, all of these tools that we've had in our tool belt, we need to bring them in right now, because this is quite intense. And the most important thing for us to do is to feel safe. And so I find that honoring how I feel and then doing something that helps my body to feel safe is one of the most important foundational steps. If you find that you're doing those practices with the intention to escape what you're feeling, I just invite you to slow down and take a breath and tell yourself, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. And this practice is not to avoid you, it's to help us to feel safer, to connect. And so just that simple intention shift can be so powerful. And so those practices are incredibly helpful, but also I would say something that has been coming through is not requiring yourself to be spiritually perfect at this time. Because I know for me, sometimes I have certain things that I like to do that maybe aren't necessarily considered super spiritual. And I don't even like really think this way, but I know that there's like a part of me that judges me sometimes when I like want to watch a good show, or I want to just kind of chill in bed, like watch a movie, not really do much. Sorry if you guys can hear the construction in the background. There's been so many interruptions lately, which is part of the reason why I've struggled to film. Yesterday I tried to film and like it was so loud outside. But anyways, this was a message coming through actually very clearly from Source, which is that there is no spiritually perfect way to care for yourself. The most spiritual thing you can do is honor your freedom and honor what it is that you need. So sometimes I find that after days and days of meditating, laying outside, processing, crying, feeling, I just sometimes need a little bit of a break, and I need fun in my life. And sometimes to my inner child, that is like making breakfast in bed and watching a movie, or just doing these things that to my mind, sometimes I can feel like, oh no, am I supposed to be doing meditation or breath work or yoga at this time? We need to be free. So there is no perfect spiritual routine to do. So take that pressure off if you feel like you need to constantly be working towards this. That is an old sneaky mechanism of trying to make this process linear, when sometimes honoring what your inner child needs is healing in itself. And we can use these tools like watching TV or watching a movie in a conscious way, where we're doing this because it brings us joy and we're present with it. But like any healthy relationship, this is the relationship between you, your adult self, and your inner child. Your adult self knows that getting outside and meditating and going to the beach or going on a hike is like, that's what really helps you. But maybe your inner child is tired and just wants to rest and just wants to relax. And so any healthy relationship is about balance. And for me, sometimes watching a movie or having a day where I lounge around opens me up to genuinely wanting to choose what my adult self wants. So that's something that was really coming through. But basically, the whole point of what I'm sharing, all of these rituals, is about how to open your heart so you can live from your heart, right? And so you may find that laying out in nature, doing breath work, doing these things can open your heart, or sometimes it takes a little bit of time. And so the most important thing to do is to tell yourself you have all the time you need and just to honor whatever is showing up. This is a process that requires us to build foundational safety in our bodies. And this is a process that requires us to not need ourselves to feel any different than we feel. And I think that's the most important piece of this, right? So even if you do all of those practices and you're still feeling off and you're still not feeling your heart open, then just allow that to be. And I invite you to take as much time for stillness as possible. But eventually, I invite you to ask yourself, what is it that I need? What is it that I want to do right now? What is it that would light me up? And to not overthink it. If it is something like baking cookies or watching a movie, just do it. If it's something like making bracelets or doing arts and crafts, like inviting these things, there's a hummingbird outside. Oh yeah, okay. The hummingbirds follow what is sweet. So what sounds sweet to you? What sounds nourishing? I want you to know that the way we anchor in the new earth is not through forcing anything. It is not through trying harder. It is through following our joy. And so it's this simultaneous dance of thawing out the heart so that we can listen to what lights us up and listen to where we're guided, and also taking risks, trying new things, going on new adventures, and making our life fun again, making our life enjoyable again. And I think we felt so disconnected from that sometimes we don't really know how to do that. But for me, it's been really listening in the moment. What is it that I want to do right now? And what is it that is best for me right now? And sometimes that's like this interplay of spiritual practices and meditation, and then also doing things that bring me joy and doing things that my inner child would love, like coloring, having a dance party, listening to music, like lighting up my sage and my Palo Santo and like doing weird movements, like we have to reclaim this part of us, because not only is presencing and loving our inner child incredibly healing for that part of us, but also our inner children, like children in this world, they cry, they scream, and then they go play again. And if we don't give ourselves that play, life feels really heavy, and it feels like literally all we're doing is healing. And I know it can feel like that's necessary sometimes because we feel so much heaviness within us. However, if you can call in more play and just practice doing that, even if that play is hard for you or it brings up emotions within you, I invite you to just give it a try and know that there's literally no way for you to get this wrong right now. The best thing that we can do is honor deeply the way that we feel and then choose what we think is best. And even if that thing brings up emotions or we feel stuck or stagnant when we're doing that thing, can we tend to those emotional experiences too and be with that? So I really invite you to know that there's no way for you to do this wrong. There's no way for you to mess up your ascension at this point. I was actually seeing a visual yesterday in my mind of this like really steep hill and of someone with this like heavy ball that they've been pushing up and up and up and up and up. And that's us. We've been pushing this healing journey for quite a while. And maybe that has taken a certain level of structure and discipline to get yourself to meditate and to do these things and to feel your emotions. But now, the most healing thing that we can do since we're at the top is just let go and let the momentum build in this direction. What this visual was showing me was essentially that it might feel like you have to use those same defense mechanisms and those same tactics to really carry yourself into this new frequency, but you've already done the work. And now this phase is about receiving and letting things flow, letting the ball roll, letting momentum build through this more relaxed way of being. And really, our priority right now is not really about doing anything. It's about becoming the new earth, becoming that frequency. And I really do feel like that's a balance of holding ourselves in these heavier emotions, loving ourselves and honoring everything we feel, and then also inviting in what gives us joy, what brings us joy. And it is really that simple, honoring our experience and then choosing the most joyful thing we can choose in the moment, and letting this be a process of trial and error, and understanding that we don't have to do this perfectly, that this process is already underway, and any mistakes we make will likely trigger things that needed to be triggered in the first place. And so it is all divine. Know that it is okay if you've been in all of these old patterns, if you've been living from your mind. I have also been doing the same, and I hope that you'll use this moment, I know I am, to anchor into your heart again, and to remember that your mind might not know the way, but your heart certainly does, and you have all the time you need. It is safe for you to feel whatever you're feeling. Rely on your tools, rely on what brings you the most excitement. That is the most simple way to move forward. And if you don't know what's bringing you excitement, take that time to presence yourself and say, it's okay, sweetie. If we just did whatever we felt like doing right now, what would we do? If we just did the first thing that comes to our mind, like, let's experiment, let's play, let's learn how to live from our hearts again. And this is going to be a process of learning. And that means sometimes going through phases where we don't really understand and where we struggle a little bit, but it is leading us to where we want to go. And so I invite you, when it all feels like it's becoming too much, or when you feel lost and confused, to rely on the part of you who is never confused, and to ask to be shown, and to just rest until you have that inspiration, until you have that guidance. Take that time, because you are learning a whole new way of being, and eventually you're not going to have to go through these deep phases of rest and healing in order to listen to your heart. This is temporary, and this is a huge moment on your soul's journey. You come from realms and places where listening to your heart is just what you do, and you never know anything different. And so if you could truly understand just how excited the higher self version of you is for you to be learning this lesson right now, and to that you're doing so beautifully. The fact that you're just still showing up day after day is so beautiful, and you deserve to feel celebrated in that. And so just know, when it all feels too much, that this truly is such a temporary experience on your soul's journey, and what is coming next is so incredibly exciting. As we learn to live from our hearts, we are really going to actually tap into that magic again and get to live the life of our inner child's dreams. That's what we're creating. I feel it coming, and this is not something I feel coming in a way of, oh, I need this to happen to escape my current circumstances. This is just something I know. So be still and know right now that this is what's happening. Be okay with whatever is showing up, because you're not alone. If you felt confused, lost, angry, sad, if every morning you feel that heaviness over you, that's okay. You are a huge part of the reason why we are moving into this new earth collectively right now. So every ounce of love that you give yourself helps this movement to go forward, and we're doing this together. You don't have to be perfect with it by any means. You are going to be shifting into that way of being. This is temporary, and trust that, but allow yourself to be with what is right now, because there is a gift here, and this is not something like, it feels long in our human experience, but this is not something that is going to be lasting for much longer. So savor this duality, savor this experience, and love yourself so unconditionally through it. And before you know it, you will be looking back on this time as a memory, and You'll be so proud of yourself for the resilience that you had. You have no clue how strong you truly are at this time, but you'll look back and be like, wow, I made it through so much unknown, so much uncertainty, and I had faith every step of the way. And what you are doing is paving the path for the rest of humanity to cross this threshold. So I am so incredibly proud of you guys. If you haven't heard this lately, you are literally doing an amazing job, doing the Lord's work. That's just coming through. I don't know why. But yeah, you're literally doing an amazing job, and you are healing this planet through your own healing. So don't forget how significant it is every single time you choose love over fear. Every single time you live from your heart over your mind, you are literally anchoring in this new frequency for us all, and we're all doing this together. So what a gift it is to be here on earth with you at this time. If you made it to the end of this video, I invite you to drop a 999 in the comments, signaling our completion of this phase, this massive death that is happening right now of all of these old wounds, of all of this old programming. And I invite you to leave like an earth emoji and your favorite color heart emoji, symbolizing us anchoring in the new earth through leading from our hearts. I am so incredibly grateful to each and every one of you who is here on my channel with me. Your support, your presence, your donations, your comments, whatever it is that you do to exchange your energy on this channel truly means the world to me. And it helps me so much when I realize, holy shit, I'm not alone in what I'm going through. And I read your stories and the things that come up for you as you watch these videos. I love to hear them. So if you feel called to leave a comment, I would absolutely love to connect with you in that way. And what else? There is an online shop that I have where I've created some healing transmissions. If you're interested in checking those out, I have one that's available completely for free or by donation. And then I have a couple that are super low priced offers. If you are interested, they are available, and I'll put the link in my description box if you want to check those out. But yeah, I'm actually going on some journeys this fall. So I am kind of excited to potentially bring you guys along with me for some traveling that I'm going to be doing. It is definitely bringing up a lot of intense energy for me thinking about traveling super far away, and I will let you guys know when the time comes. But I think I'm going to be doing hopefully a little more vlogging when I'm there. I love these talking videos, but I also really like showing the experience of like everything that I described that I do with the healing and the rituals and all of that. I love like on a daily basis kind of being able to walk you guys through that. So yeah, I've created like 2 vlogs before and they were really fun, but they're also kind of intimidating, like having a camera on you all day, but it's really, really fun. And I just feel very inspired to potentially do that in the future. So if you guys are interested in that, or if you have any questions or suggestions of content you'd like to see me create, it always can like spark these little pings of inspiration if there's something you'd like to see from me. So with that being said, I love you guys so, so much. Thank you so much for being here on earth with me. Thank you for this healing work that you're doing. I know that we are all supporting each other very deeply through this process, and I'm so honored to be connecting with you in this way at this time. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.